Let's get on over to our next topic. Fam.
Surprise. So Bernie gets some clapback for his getting money out of politics bill from these lobbyists. So they basically said, according to The Hill, on the substance side, that housing a convention is a major endeavor that can strap the budgets of parties and cities. The money has to come from elsewhere, and cutting off corporate donations may further depress interest in hosting a convention, said Stuart Verderl, the CEO of Public Affairs from Monument Advocacy. He also said that on the image side, Democrats always have to balance their populist rhetoric with quieter outreach to the business community, telling companies who would like to partner with the party to take their ball and go home will easily feed into an anti-capitalist motif, he added. That's exactly what we want. 17 donors funded about 75% of the 2016 Democratic National Convention, which included donations of more than $1 million from companies like Comcast, Petco Energy, AT&T, Facebook, and the Bank of America. This is according to the Center for Responsive Politics. Because in Bernie's proposal, he said that the lobbyists from donor monies, he's trying to get rid of them everywhere and filed with the VIP studies at the convention. This happened, which was held in Philadelphia, which is the home of Comcast and Petco. So none of these companies that contributed more than $1 million actually responded to the request for comment, which makes perfect sense. But yeah.
It reminds me of the Mickey Kantz video when she talks about all the money that they had, the Democratic Party, the majority of it, 90% of it went into three vendors' pockets. You know what I'm saying? And what happened to that money? And here we go again. Would you say 75% of the donations came from 17 to 19 people? Ridiculous. Do we have an open, free, and fair democracy? Who's running stuff? It looks like the corporations are.
And the Bernie campaign responded by saying that Bernie Sanders is building an unprecedented grassroots movement campaign to end corruption. And as a nominee, he would host a grassroots conventions for delegates, party members, teachers, workers, nurses, farmers, and students. Corporate lobbyists will never buy influence with Bernie, period, said Josh Orton, the Sanders National Policy Director. So he's not playing. And it is because of this that I believe what Johnny said is true, that I think they don't care if Donald Trump wins. They would rather have Donald Trump win than somebody like Bernie Sanders get there. And that's getting more and more clear. There have been several donations to Pete Buttigieg, too. I think Pete Buttigieg is like the VP a guy that they're
that
why
he's hanging around?
Like he's been hanging around
Goldman
too.
Sachs guy that's on his campaign too,
and
as well.
He comes off as like this sweet guy that's just so soft and kind and platitudey to people who don't know that the money is there and that these people are nefarious and that these people are doing everything they can. So, I think this is great. Another thing I wanted to point out that they said, though, is that they're saying that Bernie is desperate, that he wants to beat Elizabeth Warren. And this lobbyist said that this was a desperate move by Sanders to gain ground on Elizabeth Warren, who his chief ideological rival in the Democratic primary, saying Bernie is falling behind Warren and needs to try to be relevant again, following her missive on taxing free speech and lobbying. This is completely a game of one-upmanship from a desperate campaign that doesn't have the ability to draft a 27-page thesis like Warren. This Democratic lobbyist said. So I want to ask all of you who like Elizabeth Warren, what do you really think that if she was a true progressive, that she was a true threat to Wall Street and the establishment, that Democratic lobbyists would be siding with her and saying, and just smearing Bernie like this, saying that his campaign is in trouble, that he's grasping desperately? He just had 1 million phone calls in less time than was needed. He has 1 million donors. He has a donor wall full of millions of names of these donors. He has 1 million volunteers plus. He has an unprecedented campaign, can raise money like this, and every time you attack him, he raises more money. How is he desperate? Yeah. I think you guys are the ones that are desperate, and it's very, very clear that Elizabeth Warren is on that side, and they're propping her up because they'd rather have her, as threatening as she is to Wall Street, than Bernie Sanders.
Well, they didn't get their plan together right now because the lobbyists who did this, and guess what? Neera Tanda spoiled your plan. When Neera Tanda was propping her up and pushing down Bernie, I was like, something's going on here. Like, that was the beginning of, like, wait a second. And then as we go through this process, you showing us all the money trails and everything you've talked about, it's like, holy cow. For me, the last straw was her walking out there with Hillary Clinton. I still think that's awful. But once again, you have a Democratic lobbyist propping up Elizabeth Warren. If this was a true progressive, no Democratic, Republican, or any lobbyist would be pushing her.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You don't see lobbyists pushing up to Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
You don't see a lobbyist saying, I'm coming out there for Bernie Sanders, whatnot. No, you don't.